Chapter 13, The First Clue. Jack Hudson looked up from his desk as Muscles, the powerful mechanic, came in. For a few moments the two men stared at one another, saying nothing. Muscles, hands on hips, broad shoulders squared, chest thrust out, looked like an angry bull about to charge. "Okay, Muscles, let's have it," Jack said. "About those kids, what are we going to do?" "I wish I knew. We've got to do something." "You're darn tooting we have," Muscles bellowed. "I'm sick and tired of just sitting around here waiting. We got to act." "Take it easy, Muscles. I've been thinking about it as much as you have. Now look, Jack, Charlie Keene's been gone almost a month. The kid's nearly 2 weeks." I know. But what can we do? You know what it means to go in after them." "You think you know where they are?" Jack nodded his head. "I've got a pretty good idea where the boys are heading. I just hope Charlie's in the same general area. I just hope they're not all scattered over the face of China. What bugs me most is Biff being spotted by now. An American kid among all those Chinese. Bound to be." "I don't think so, Muscles. Biff and Chuba worked out a disguise that made Biff look more like a Chinese than Chuba does. Biff not only fooled me, but fooled T. Peo as well." "He fooled Chuba's father? That's really something." Jack nodded his head. "Yeah, both of those kids are plenty smart. I think they'll make it in. They might even get a line on Charlie's whereabouts. But getting back out," Jack shook his head soberly. "That's where we get into the act," Muscles said quickly. "Look, I got the Cessna tuned up so she's purring like a kitten. Extra fuel tanks installed. We can go in, pick up Charlie and the kids. If we could find them." "We can find them. Look, here's my idea. We go in together at night. You drop me. I locate Charlie and the kids. Then I make a signal on the shortwave transmitter. And bang, you come, pick us up, and all's well." Jack didn't answer at once. He was considering Muscles' idea. "You make it sound so easy, but I don't know. Give me a little time to think it over. We can take off at dusk tonight." "I haven't said we would yet, Muscles. I'll let you know." Muscles glowered at Jack and pounded one huge fist into the palm of his other ham-like hand. Biff didn't hesitate. This was real trouble. If he didn't get to his friend at once, Chuba might go under for good. Finding him beneath the surface of the muddy river would be impossible. Biff's body split the air as he dived towards the sinking Chuba. Powerful strokes of his arms pulled Biff swiftly through the water. He reached Chuba. Take it easy, Chuba. I've got you. You'll be all right. Don't fight me." Biff crooked his left arm around Chuba's neck. "Just lie on your back, Chuba. I'll do the rest." At Biff's word, Chuba stopped thrashing. He forced himself to relax, buoyed both in body and spirit by the firmness of Biff's arm. Slowly, with a one-arm backstroke, Biff towed the native boy towards the shore. The current slackened below the falls, making Biff's task possible. Foot by foot, Biff propelled himself and Chuba towards the riverbank. At long last, he felt one of his kicking feet touch bottom. "Okay, Chuba, I think you can stand up here. Try it." Chuba's feet touched bottom. The two boys staggered through the shallow water to safety. Chuba stretched out on the bank, gasping and trembling. "You saved my life, Biff. How can Chuba ever thank you?" "Skip the thanks, Chuba. You've done plenty for me, and I know you'll do plenty more. But how come you never learned to swim?" "Not many Chinese boys swim. Not in rivers where I grew up. Crocodiles." "I get it. Too dangerous." Chuba nodded his head. "Look, Chuba, you rest here. I've got to get the boat. All our supplies are in it." Biff jumped up and ran along the bank downstream. The boat was drifting slowly, lazily towards the bank. Biff plunged back into the water. He reached the boat, pulled himself in over the side, and rowed to shore. Chuba had moved down the bank and waded out to grab the boat's bow. He pulled it up on the bank. Half an hour later, the boys re-embarked. For the rest of the day, they traveled in smooth water. By dark, they reached Sunhangyo, last stop of their river voyage. From Sunhangyo, they headed northwest toward the foothills of Mount Minyakonka, west of Chungking and Chengchu. Once clear of the river city, the boys moved along a dirt road until weariness overtook them. Off the road, they built a small fire, ate a mixture of flour and rice Chuba dreamed up, and then slept. In the morning, Chuba inspected Biff carefully. "What's the matter?" Biff demanded. "You almost American boy again. More like fish called carp, though. All streaky." "What do you mean?" "Your swims in river. Make betel juice fade. You look at self. We got make you Chinese beggar boy again." Chuba took out his bottle of juice and smeared Biff's body and face. "Now, all good again. We move out." "And up," Biff said, looking towards the mountains. By late afternoon, Biff and Chuba reached a town in the foothills. They had been climbing steadily all day. Several times Biff had to swallow to clear the pressure in his ears brought on by the higher altitude. "You have some money, Biff?" Chuba asked. "Yep, got a bunch of Burmese rupees. Can you spend them in China?" "Spend them like you say, like water. Rupees much good. Better than Chinese money. Chinese money now called Jin Min Pio. Takes many jins to make 1 rupee." Biff dug into his bundle and brought out several coins. "This enough?" "It's plenty. We go into town to market. Chuba buys some food. You like dried fish? Lychee nuts good too." "Ugh, I'd rather have a hot dog." "Ah, hot dog," Chuba nodded wisely. "Muscles tell me in America you eat the dogs but like them hot." "Buy them millions, Chuba. Especially at baseball games, but not the kind that bark." "Not real dogs?" "No, these are the sort like a sausage, shaped like sausage. You know sausage?" Chuba nodded his head. "Oh sure, stuffed with rice, shark fins, and sesame seeds is real tasty." Biff shrugged. Might as well give up. Chuba would just have to eat a genuine frankfurter someday. The boys walked onto the edge of the town. Biff stopped before they passed through the gate. "Hold it a minute, Chuba. Something I want to ask you." Biff had decided to make the first move toward locating his Uncle Charlie. He considered showing Chuba the green ring. Should he do so now or hold on to it for an ace in the hole, for a time when the ring might be the means of getting them out of a really tough jam? He'd wait. "What you want to ask Chuba?" "I want to know if you ever heard of a big and well-known Chinese family. It was called the House of Kwang." Biff studied the native boy's face. "Sure, Chuba hear about them. Once they rich, big rich. Own many, many acres for wheat fields. Many, many acres for rice. They own big grain sheds where other people bring wheat and rice to sell them for to store it. But now no more rice. Not rich and powerful anymore. Revolution and new government get rid of all big landowners." "Did the House of Kwang have any property, any acres round here?" "No own acres here, but once they own big warehouse. Like I say, for to buy and sell wheat and rice and all kinds of clothes and things." "Here in this town?" Chuba nodded his head. "Well, look, Chuba, I think maybe my Uncle Charlie came into this part of China because of something he had to do with the House of Kwang. I don't know exactly what. Do you think any members of that family would be around here?" Chuba thought about Biff's question. "I don't know, Biff, but can find out. Although family no longer strong and rich, Chuba has heard they still stick close together, help each other out. If one member of the family get in bad with government bosses, others get him out if he put in prison." "Okay, that's what I wanted to know from you. When we get to the market, think you could ask some questions without giving us away? I mean, without letting the people you ask know that we're in here looking for Uncle Charlie." "Think so, Biff. I ask if anyone hear about Big Bird, American bird with much roaring noise. Lots people in this part of China still call airplane Big Bird. If you find anyone who seems to have the kind of information we're looking for, see if there's any talk about a plane cracking up around here. I feel sure Uncle Charlie would have come back long ago if it weren't something wrong with his plane. You trust Chuba, Biff. He find out everythings." The boys passed the gate of the walled town. This town was the largest one they had yet gone through. The dirty streets again were filled with people milling back and forth. Children stared at them wide-eyed and curious. Dogs darted in and out, looking for scraps of food. Pigs roamed the streets, paying no more attention to the people than the people did to them. Biff could tell they were nearing the marketplace. His nose knew. Inside the market, an open-air market filling one long block, the boys passed booths selling everything from hot soups to shiny silks. Strings of garlic hung on racks in all the food booths. The Chinese chew garlic the way Americans chew gum. Small cakes made of chopped vegetables and fruits were piled high on trays. There were fried peanuts and sugar-covered orange peels. Strings of dried fish swung in the air. Smoked ducks were suspended by their necks from long, slender bamboo rods. Chuba made several purchases. Biff, having to remain silent, was unable to protest against some of the foods Chuba added to his cloth sack. But he knew he'd have to be mighty hungry to eat them. At one booth where Chuba made several purchases, the native boy had a long talk with the owner. During the conversation, Chuba once extended his arms straight from his sides and gave out a sound like an airplane engine, an engine that spluttered. The Chinese only shook his head. The boys walked along. "I think he knows something, but no tell me," Chuba said quietly. "When first I ask about Big Bird, a look on his face tell me he has heard of something. But when I ask more and become airplane myself, he says no, he hear of nothing. I ask more people." Biff tagged along, silent, watchful, amazed at many of the strange things sold in the market. He saw a goose egg and watched a shopper haggle with the owner over its price. Later, Chuba told him the egg was 4 years old and uncooked. "Most delicious," Chuba said. Biff shuddered. Every store sold dried watermelon seeds. Chuba bought some, gave a handful to Biff. Biff chewed on them but found little taste to the small morsel inside the shell. It had become dark. Flares lighted the marketplace. Chuba turned to Biff, a discouraged look on his face. Buying things fine. Finding out about Sahib Charlie not fine. Chuba learned nothing. The boys retraced their steps back to the city gates. Again they were going to sleep in the open. Biff much preferred this to sleeping on the floor of an airless room. Just as they passed through the gate, a figure came out of the shadows. He touched Chuba on the arm and in a hissing whisper spoke into the boy's ear. "Man say for me to come back with him. Maybe can help me. Say I must come alone. You stay right here, Biff. Chuba be all right. Be back quick." Chuba and the stranger headed back toward the market. But Chuba didn't come back quickly. The minutes seemed to drag along. Biff was becoming worried. He had just about made up his mind to seek Chuba out when he saw his friend running towards him. Chuba was breathless, more from excitement than from his short run. "Chuba has news, big news. Man takes me back to another fellow. This other fellow much wise. Say he hear big American plane make forced landing, near mountains, maybe 50 miles from here." "Did he tell you how long ago, Chuba?" Chuba nodded his head up and down rapidly. "He say maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks ago." "Hey, that is good news. That could be Uncle Charlie. Did he know what happened to the pilot? Was he hurt?" "I asked that, but fellow say he don't know." Biff was thoughtful for a few moments. "It's a good lead, Chuba. You know which way to go?" "Sure. Fellow tell Chuba." "Seems to me this fellow told you a lot. I wonder why, particularly since no one else seemed to know what you were talking about." "I don't know, Biff. Fellow very nice, but funny-looking fellow." "What do you mean, funny-looking?" "One eye closed like door. No see out of it. Fellow have only one good eye." Biff's thoughts raced back to the Chinese passenger on the plane from Indianapolis to Chicago. A Chinese with a drooping eyelid. Chapter 14, The Circling Plane. The next day, in a small village of only a few mud and thatched houses, Chuba continued his inquiries. This time, the second man he asked told of having heard of a big bird roar like the thunders of heaven, it had been seen coming down in the mountains. In mid-afternoon of the second day after leaving the market town, Chuba came up with more definite information. He was told that a flying man had come down in the foothills near a police outpost called Jaraminka. Chuba was elated by the news that now seemed to be coming to them so easily. Too easily, Biff said. How you mean, Biff? I'm not sure, Chuba, but it seems strange to me that everyone seems to be helping us along. It's as if we're being guided to this certain place. That is not good? Biff shook his head. It's too good. It could be a trap. I'm pretty sure now that someone has spotted me, or at least knows I'm in this part of China. How could they know that? You look like Chinese boy, not like American Biff Brewster. Biff didn't reply at once. He was thinking. He was thinking that by asking questions about the House of Kwang, about a downed flyer, someone's curiosity had been aroused. Someone was very interested in his search for Charles Keene. Otherwise, how had it been so easy to get the information Chuba had been given? Biff also felt sure that the person or persons responsible for feeding Chuba directional information must know that it was he, Biff Brewster, who was in China. He couldn't drive from his mind the picture of the Chinese with the drooping eyelid. Chuba's description of the man with one eye fitted too closely. Chuba, I think we're definitely being led into a trap. Someone is leading us to the place where my uncle is. It may be friends, it may be members of the House of Kwang, but it also may be enemies of my uncle. They may be holding my uncle prisoner and want to capture me too. Don't ask me why, I don't know all the answers, but I've got a hunch. If we being led into trap like poor little goat into dragon's mouth, maybe we better stop. Maybe go different way. Maybe better give Jaraminka the by-go, Chuba suggested. Biff smiled. No, we won't give Jaraminka the go-by. We'll let ourselves be led into or up to the trap. It's our only chance of finding my uncle. We don't have any other leads, but maybe we can get right up to the trap and avoid having it sprung on us. The boys climbed a narrowing mountain trail higher into the foothills. Nightfall found them in a wild, desolate spot. No lights could be seen in any direction they looked. At the altitude they had reached, a chill came with the night air. Chuba hurried about searching for dried, dead wood. He heaped up a large pile. Think it's safe to build a fire? Biff asked. Sure, much safe. Better to have fire and be warm. Better also to have fire to keep mountain bears and wild pigs away. Anyway, who want to catch two boys? I don't know, Chuba, I don't know, Biff replied. The fire was soon blazing, sending out its friendly warmth and brightening the wild spot where the boys had decided to pitch their camp. Chuba had water boiling in a small can, ready for the rice which had become their nightly meal. Rice, with some of the strange foods Chuba had purchased, stirred in it. Chow, Biff, we eat. I way out hungry, man. Chuba started ladling out the steaming dish. Hold it a minute, Chuba. Hear anything? Chuba raised his head. Both boys tensed. From far away to the south there came a low hum, not much louder than the buzz of a bee. As the boys listened, the hum grew louder and more distinct. A minute passed. There was no mistaking the sound now. It's a plane, Chuba, a plane. Maybe Sahib Charlie, Chuba shouted. Look, look. Biff was on his feet, pointing. Now the plane was in sight against the darkening sky. It was coming low. Its green starboard wing light and red port wing light were flashing alternately on and off, on and off. The plane seemed to be coming directly at them, as if attracted moth-like to their bright fire. It swooped over the boys so low they both involuntarily ducked. Then the plane circled, roared back over them, and then disappeared over a low ridge to the west. The sound of its twin engines died away. I'd bet you anything that was a Cessna, like the job that brought me to Unhao from Rangoon, Biff said, his voice filled with excitement. You mean like plane that Muscles fixed for Sahibs back at camp? That's right, Chuba. Can't be sure, though. Maybe it was scouting plane of army. Maybe he was spying on us, Chubba said. Biff's spirit sank. Chubba could be right. Think we better get out of here then. Find another place and hide. Might be good idea, Biff. Hate to leave nice warm fire though. And I'd hate to leave just in case that was a plane from Unheo looking for us. Or as you said, it could just be Uncle Charlie. The boys sat down by the fire. Biff ate his food slowly. The minutes became an hour. Another hour passed. Chubba had curled up in his long cloak and was sound asleep. Biff looked at the sleeping boy and felt a yawn stretching over his face. He stirred the fire, pulled his long cloak firmly about him and curled up too. He didn't think he could sleep. His mind was too filled with thoughts about the plane. But Biff's resistance to sleep was mostly in his mind, not in his body. Tired. He always seemed tired these days. He dropped off to sleep in seconds. How long he slept, Biff didn't know, but he did know that something had awakened him. He opened his eyes. He listened. He thought he heard a sound just behind a nearby stunted tree. Chubba, he poked his companion. Chubba, wake up. Chubba stirred, rolled over, and opened his eyes to look into Biff's face. What is it, Biff? I think somebody's watching us, from just outside the ring of the fire's light. Both boys remained silent. Nothing happened. Then the sound came again. Someone or something was certainly watching them. Biff could hear his own heartbeat. He looked in the direction of the sound. A huge figure stepped from behind the tree. As it walked towards the fire, its dancing shadow became that of a giant. Well, fancy meeting you here, the giant said. Muscles! The boys jumped to their feet. The giant mechanic, a big grin splitting his face, strode up to the fire. Biff and Chubba leaped on him, pounding him on the back. Easy, boys, easy. I'm footsore and bone-tired from walking over these here mountains. Never had anything like them back in good old Kentucky. How did you get here? Was that your plane? Who was flying it? Where'd you land? Is my uncle safe? Biff's questions shot out in a rapid-fire burst. Easy, Biff, easy, one at a time. Now I'll try to answer your quiz program. No word from your uncle. Yep, that was me in that plane that flew over here a couple of hours ago. Jack Hudson was flying her. We touched down just long enough for me to hop out. Jack's almost back to Unheo by now. Now, how about a spot of China tea? I'm tired and hungry. Me fix, Muscles, right away. Chop, chop. Chubba got busy. More wood went on the fire. Out came the all-purpose can, this time to boil water for Muscles' tea. Now, what about you two? Give me a fill-in. Biff quickly sketched the happenings since he and Chubba had slipped out of the camp at Unheo. So you think someone spotted you? Muscles asked. I'm sure of it. Someone sure knows Uncle Charlie's being looked for. We've been getting more information than they hand out at Grand Central Station in New York. And you've been told that a plane came down near a place called Jaraminka. Biff nodded his head. How far is that place from here? Not far, Chubba replied. Maybe a day's walk, if we start early in the morning. Here's your tea. Muscles took the hot liquid. Well then, Jaraminka, here we come. As Muscles sipped his tea, he told the boys about landing on a cleared, level plateau over a ridge of the Fanglung foothills to the west. Not too far from here. Muscles looked at his watch. Took me about 2 hours to walk back to this fire we spotted from the air. We couldn't be sure, of course, but we hoped it would be you boys. I guess I must have walked almost straight up and down farther than I walked straight ahead to get here. And Jack went back, Biff asked. Yeah, but we've got it all fixed. When we find Charlie, we're to make our way back to that plateau. I've got a portable transmitter with me. When we get there, I make a signal, Jack flies in, and it's back to Unheo we go. Muscles made it sound so simple. Biff felt good as he listened to the big man talk so confidently. But there were lots of ifs. If they found Charles Keene, if they got back to the plateau, if the signal was heard on time, if Jack could come back in. Biff shook his head. It was good to have big Muscles with them, though. In any trouble, Muscles had a lot of weight to throw around. Now suppose we catch some more of that stuff called shut-eye. Sleep to you, Chubba, and be up and at them early in the AM. Chubba catch plenty of eye shut, Sahib Muscles. Tomorrow going to be big days. Eye shut. The two words reminded Biff of the Chinese with the drooping eyelid. The two boys and the man stretched out by the fire and slept. At daybreak, Muscles stirred. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes and sat up. "Hey," he exclaimed. "Looks like we've got visitors." Biff and Chuba sat up quickly. Standing silently, forming a ring surrounding the three and the dying embers of the fire, were 8 of the fiercest-looking men Biff had ever seen.